Hey everyone, how's it going? All right. So, sorry we missed the first part of this week. Halloween definitely just kicked my butt. So I do hope everybody had a wonderful Halloween. Um, whether you went to a party, whether your kids went out and went trick or treating, you went trunk or treating, whatever you guys did to celebrate the holiday, I hope you guys had a wonderful, wonderful day. And then yesterday, just we've been working on our RV, so I don't know if everybody remembers Wally from a couple years ago, but we have been still working on him. Lord help us. Parts are finally in stock to where we can actually, fix up the engine and get him running. And so that's what we've been doing. And so, long, hot summer days in Florida, even though it's not even summer anymore. It was like 92 degrees today. Can you believe that? 92. Eileen, how are you? How are you? It's been too long. Happy to see you. I'm so happy to be here. No, we've been kicking off Bullhouse more and more, 3 days a week, hopefully. So I will make it up somewhere in this week for the third one. But no, it's been good to be back. Guys, the world is crazy. Like I take off from like let's see, we played games on Friday, right? Tell me why from Saturday till now, the world's in shambles. Like and so okay, I'm gonna level with you. I I'm really contemplating on trying to make this like a positive channel, right? Like I'm trying not to be so like, oh, it's all crap, this is just, but I feel like that would be doing a disservice. And it's not trying to be like doom and gloom and all this other crap. It's literally just kind of showing what's going on that everybody else isn't talking about, right? Like I feel like that is what we need to be doing. And so while it's not always the most fun topics. It is a little bit much, but it does need to be said. And so with that being, initiated, uh, under the advisement of a few people on my team, we're gonna kind of just not the little filter that I do have is going to come down, right? And so you guys are really going to kind of get more of a glimpse on how I perceive things. Again, everything on this channel is my opinion. It is the opinion of Bullhouse, nobody else's. Unless I state and show fact of quotes or anything like that, everything is my opinion. And so, and I know, I'm gonna get canceled by probably by a good majority of people, but at the same time, we need to start calling out the just craziness at this point. And so, you know, and I've really had a long time to think about it, thinking about the world in a whole, right? And so I last week I told you guys to watch What is a Woman with Matt Welsh from Daily Wire. I hope you guys were able to find that and watch that because it is showing the craziness going on, right? And so a simple what is a woman? Well, let's go biological here. That is a woman, right? And we have all around just distraction after distraction. And so that's kind of where my brain has been going with a lot of this is they just keep, throwing distraction after distraction to help, cover up something or just hide something. And so um where my mind went with this, why it went here, right? We had COVID, right? And then all of a sudden, COVID started stop being, it was no longer a talking point because you had the vaccines or people were, starting to question what the narrative was. They were calling it out, which, um, if you're gonna peep our last, I think it was last Wednesday's podcast, we got our flag. It didn't take very long. It did not take very long to get our first, hey, fact check this shit. Thank you, YouTube. Shout out to you. Um, but it's so people were no longer afraid. And so this is something I want you guys to understand is um the only thing greater that has a greater influence on somebody is hope. You have fear. Fear can control a lot of people. But the minute you give somebody hope, it overcomes that and is more powerful than fear. And I believe it was in Hunger Games. I think it was a quote in Hunger Games. But it is actually psychologically true. It is proven to be true that if you give somebody hope, it is more powerful than fear. And so that's what I'm trying to do for you guys is provide hope, not fear, because, if you have fear, then that means there's something to be feared of. You have to be fearful. But we don't want that. We want to be hopeful because we will get through this economic downturn and everything. So, anybody in my DMs that are threatening me about, the NFT economy, guys, the NFTs will bounce back. Crypto will bounce back. Stocks will bounce back. These things are in cycles. And so, I have to, but we have to address these things. And, it is it is pertinent to understand that. Um, Give me one second, guys. And so, I'm trying to make it as easy as possible for you guys to understand how the economy is going to kind of look and portray because we do have these newer things with crypto and NFTs. Um, let's see, Aline, will you also be covering GME and AMC? I will probably do it once in a while. I mean, so in all honesty, I mean, we've been covering GME and AMC for, gosh, a year and a half, almost 2 years, right? DD's been done, at least in my part. How I see when I understand short squeezes and shorts needing to cover and margin calls, what I personally look for is this downturn, right? We're already starting to see these margin calls. We're starting to see banks needing money. We're starting to see all of this. Lending is getting tighter, banks that are requesting their money or whatever else it is. So we're starting to see that economic downturn. And so this is what I'm kind of looking for is when this bottoms out, shorts will have to cover, and that's when AMC and GME go. Anything that's short, Bath and Body Works or, um, gosh, MMAT, any of these shorted positions, right? Now, here's the funny part. And I'm going to get so much scrutinization for this, but I'm done. I'm done trying to hold it in. Um, if they are smart, which this is what they're supposed to be doing, they've gone long. The citadels and they have long positions in this. They see what's happening and everything else. They're just riling up the retail investors, right? But if they're smart, they've gone long already. They've seen the writing on the walls. And so they will still make money. Unfortunately, they won't collapse like we all would hope because they are predatory people. Um, but when the economy goes down, right? When the margin calls start happening, when they have because it is a debt owed, the shorts are a debt owed, that's when we'll see it. In my opinion, fully my opinion, not financial advice, all that craziness, but that's when I would think to see it. Um, So that should give hope, right? That's hope. But at the end, at the bottom of this is there's going to be a lot of pain that we see around the world, because why I say around the world, the U.S. Reserve, the U.S. dollar is the secondary currency. Okay, hey Conan. And so we have to have that perspective that when it comes to the economic decline. This is going to be like things that nobody has ever seen. And so, to have, I mean, so many economists now saying the same things that we were saying last year. And they were kind of piping in a little bit last year, but, obviously a little bit of hesitation. They don't want to, these are big names like Ray Dalio, like, I mean, just huge names. I mean, coming out and finally saying, like, it's going to freaking hurt. And we can brace for it. Again, start growing your gardens, start stocking up, start getting into freeze dried goods or MREs, getting into rain collection if your states allow it, getting into just being self-sufficient. California, I'm looking at you. Get on your solar grids. Start providing your own power. Getting on, because I know the electrical grids are going crazy. Like mead is drying up. Like there are so many different things that are going on right now. and they're not being addressed, right? And this is what is driving me crazy because here I am. I have a whole thing for you guys today. I have a whole thing. And all I see, all the attention that is being drawn is that we have, Lord, I'm going to get canceled. We have trans people going into the White House to talk to the president instead of the president taking care of our people economically, right? Our economics. If we are so concerned about who's saying what and who's doing what and who's being with who, guys, this does not matter. This part of life does not matter right now when you look at the broader picture. And so this is what I'm seeing as a distraction. Elon buying Twitter, cool, awesome, free speech, yes, love it. But at the same time, it's a distraction. It is a distraction against what is really going on. You have a multi-billionaire buying Twitter for $44 billion to help free speech. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see what happens with all of that. I'm 100% curious to see how Twitter evolves. Um, but it's a distraction, right? We have like nobody is talking about what's going on over with Ukraine. I don't even know how many people know that our own US troops are over in Ukraine, literally in Ukraine. We're going to talk about that. How many people know that missiles are actually going off, or if anybody knows that a Russian sub with a very, very powerful nuclear, uh, totally lost the word, not missile, not a nuclear missile, a nuclear torpedo is MIA, right? Um, if you guys caught that, right? A Russian submarine, a very large, very crazy ass submarine with a nuclear warhead basically on it, um, cannot be located anywhere in the waters. Okay, so I'm sitting here thinking fleets, our ships, our battleships, things like that could be targets. Or are they going after our cargo? Do they go after our supply chain? Again, we'll talk about this. So these are the things that are not really being talked about. Instead, we have it all politicized because it is, well, once again, it's voting season, it's voting year, we have midterms, and if you vote Republican, you are the Antichrist and everything else. If you vote left, it doesn't matter, guys. I'm here to tell you, your political views, who you vote for, like the actual voting for people, left or right, that shouldn't matter anymore. It's literally what they stand for. That's what you should be looking for. It doesn't, if you've always voted Democrat, I will tell you right now, high school up through say 2012, I voted Democrat. I mean, I was a Democrat. I believed all about it, but now, I'm really in the middle. I have a lot of Republican tendencies, I have a lot of Democratic tendencies. I look at the whole picture, and that's what we need to start embracing and having people do all around the world, not just here in the States, but in the world, is looking at the whole picture and how everything's perceived. Because there are some lunacy going on in the fact of, misinformation. And that I hate that term. I hate that term with all my being. But the fact that no one actually tells the truth. No one just says, here's a fact, this is what it is, and this is how it's going to be done. We all just beat around the bush and then assume that people know what the hell we're talking about. So that it's just nuts, right? It's scary. The economy is going to get worse, but crime is already getting so bad. I live in an affluent neighborhood over 25 years, no crime, and my house got robbed. Holy mother. People are already hurting. No, and you're absolutely right. Aline, you're absolutely right. And it's going it's going to get rough. But this is where we as humans, people with conscious minds, conscious beings, we have to come together. We have to just look back. Go back 1929, 1930s. Look back at those times. What were people doing? They had generational housing. They were very self-sufficient. They had farms. They were, I think of my grandmother when I asked her, she was literally making their own butter. They had three generations and an extra person or two in their house, and they rented. Um, they grew their own vegetables. We have to become self-sufficient. And this is something that is huge to me. And for anybody that is from my Oasis, my Isles community that is watching, anybody that's just kind of following me, my NFT project, Isles, it started as a way to help entrepreneurship, and now we still have that. We have to scale back a little bit right now with it because of, costs and things of technology. But, I am revamping my own NFT project in a way that is going to be real world help. I can't say much more than that, but this is the first announcement that is being made for it. It will have something real world to back it up that will help others, because that's all I can think about with my own stuff, with my own NFTs, because right now I'm watching the NFT community, and it's a brand new thing, right? And not brand new, it's been around for a few years, but the attention that it's gotten. And so just know that if you are part of that community, I am looking at this real world situation, and no matter where you're at in the world, you're going to benefit from it in a real world way, um, which I am super excited about. And I will be releasing that information. And so if anybody is in NFTs, I do really hope that you start thinking about real world aspects of the NFT community, because this is our time. This is our time to be able to come together and help one another and figure out a way to make this world better, because if we don't do it, the powers that be will do it for us, and I don't think we're going to like that outcome. So, with that intro being done, I do appreciate everybody being here. It is Wednesday, 11/2. We are in a new month. We are in one of my favorite months because we have Thanksgiving, and who does not like to binge on food, which, P.S., turkey costs are going up, because of the bird flu and all the craziness. But we also have this, right? Before we get into this, if you are here, smash the like, hit subscribe if you have not yet, share it with everybody. Let's get people in here, share the channel and say, hey, we're going over real shit because this is what needs to be talked about. And this is where the whole idea of misinformation is going to come from, because no one will give a straight answer. We won't watch all of the little clips or anything like that. I will just kind of give a brief synopsis over it, what each side is saying, and I will put these links in the description below for you guys to go through and watch and enjoy on your own time. But without further ado, so we have diesel shortages, or better yet, we don't. All right. So we have CBS and we have Fox and we have Insider, and then we have CNBC and we have Forbes. So shout out to Drew for helping me gain and collaborate and gather all of these different resources. I had kind of put him on a little bit of a trail for it and just said, hey, can you look this up while I'm doing this? And this is what he found. So it's no wonder that everybody is so freaking confused on what is actually happening, because you have different sides of the spectrum, okay? What I can gather, what we know. Okay, let's take what we know, right? We know that Biden shut down one of our main pipelines. We know that. Screwed our entire gas supply. We know that our refineries are not doing that well. They're shutting down some of them. Some of them are doing okay. We know that, more and more we're having, uh, locations prohibiting drilling, okay, which is fine. We also know that Russia had their pipeline destroyed. whoever is at fault for it, whoever bombed it in three different places, this is what we know. Okay. What we also know is that diesel is used for our semi trucks to get our goods to and from other locations. So when they come off the ships, which also have diesel, they come off the ships, they come into the trucks, and those trucks take them from point A to point B to point C to wherever, and then they're offloaded. What we also know is that our military planes, boats, Humvees also take diesel. Okay, so you can see why this would be a problem if we run out of diesel, yes? So our supply chain cut off, military halted, aircraft can't fly because you need diesel to create jet fuel. Helicopters, so say goodbye to, any helicopter in the sky, whether it's the joys of using my headset for this. Um, Say goodbye to the medevacs and, ambulance, fire trucks, anything that runs on diesel. Okay, so we can see why this would be a problem. Yeah? Okay. So we have Fox saying trucking oil companies ramp up warnings on diesel shortage. And it costs anywhere from, I think the last time I looked at prices now, about $5 a gallon. It's costing anywhere from like 1,500 to 2,000 a week to fill up, um, depending on how long the route is. So Fox basically had put this whole thing out, Tucker Carlson calling it out, saying, hey, we need to figure this out. Why are we running low on diesel? Blah, blah, blah. Nobody wants to be force fed an alternative technology or anything until they're done. He continued. So I think we put ourselves in a situation unnecessarily. So this comes all with the Green Deal. Yeah. Like making, Biden's whole let's make everything green, which is why he shut down the major pipeline. A little preemptive, in my opinion, if we can't get our supplies and this is coming as like holiday season. We're thinking, you know Thanksgiving, and you have Black Friday, big shopping days. Amazon's gonna be running their trucks back and forth, UPS, FedEx, all these trucks need to have to deliver their packages to get people to their Christmas stuff. Yeah. And so there's all these different things going on. So, but this is saying data released last week showed US had only 25 days of heating and trucking stockpile reserves. As a result, November delivery prices have already begun to surge 40% for November. So this is also an issue because we have, and I'm looking at the UK. I have not forgotten you guys. Anyone in Europe right now that are, you guys are already getting warnings. If I'm wrong, please correct me. But you're already getting warnings about the winter time, yeah, because you have a lot of fossil fuel energy to heat your homes. And so this is also a big problem. So this is not just a United States thing. This is a global situation with oil. Um, Thank you, OPEC. Let's not do this, right? Um, and so we have all of this being said on Fox, where it's going and everything. Again, I will post all of these in the description for you guys to read and watch and whatever you'd like to do. Um, but needless to say, the a lot of truckers, from what this has been kind of been putting out, is that um, the truckers are having to park. They can't afford gas. They're just not doing it. They're not doing it. So this is something to definitely keep an eye out on. Watch diesel prices. Watch them because it is a very interesting situation that's going on. Um, we will watch this video at the end of all this. So then we have this. No, the US is not going to run out of diesel fuel in 25 days. And then this guy ends up telling everybody, like, his the movers, right? Moving companies. He cannot actually increase his prices due to the cost of gas. And so he's actually like, yeah, no, we're kind of screwed. Um, Funny video with that title. Um, There was something in here. Oh, yeah, this section. Inventories of diesel and gasoline are down below 5-year averages, and if the entire world were to stop, we would have 25 days worth of diesel. But the world doesn't stop. We're not counting on it stopping. Blah, blah, blah. Well, there's a few different things wrong with him saying this because we go through fuel like none other all around the world. He likened it to the situation at a grocery store supply of milk at any given time. I don't know about you guys, but I've seen my grocery store out of milk. This is a thing. It was like a couple months ago. A few of our grocery stores down here in Tampa Bay. Actually, I'm pretty sure a lot of them down in actual Tampa Bay are still having this issue. But milk, cheese, butter, eggs. I mean, you couldn't find it. So, I mean, that's just inventory of people's food. Now, you have gas supplies going down and you can't get gas for a few days. That's a lot of backups. We've already seen this story play out once whenever all the ships were on the sitting off the coast of California last year. Yeah, we saw all those ships. What was it? I think it got to like 100 and some odd ships were sitting out at sea and not being offloaded because there weren't enough workers to offload the ships. So we're going to kind of get into that same situation, but on land, in my opinion. Opinion, not fact, opinion. I'm just reiterating it because, I'm just, YouTube's weird some days. Um, your grocery store may have an inventory of 3 days of milk. That's because they only have 3 days worth of it at any given point. But the cow keeps milking, the farmer keeps sending milk, the dairy keeps delivering. Again, to some degree. Right now, what we also see, last year I reported on the fertilizer, right? So a big reason why um, cost of goods went up. For anybody that's actually confused on how groceries work, how food works, apparently this is a thing that I have found on YouTube that people don't actually know where food comes from. So let's have a little. I'm not questioning anybody here because I know you guys are all intelligent, very intelligent, but for future people that don't actually know. Um, So your food does not just magically appear in the grocery stores. It does not, grow in packages on a vine of like cheese. That's not how it works. Um, for the cows to eat, they have to have food. You have to fertilize food and everything else. So there's a lot of cost in that for, when it comes to corn, soybeans, peas, green beans, any vegetable that we do grow or fruits that we grow, we do have fertilizer, and that fertilizer has a very high cost right now because of a lot of supply chain shortages. Um, we will cover that in a whole nother day. But yes, if you start at ground zero, meaning the food, the crop that you have to grow is in short supply, and the farmers have to feed their cattle or any of their livestock or anything food as well, on top of trying to produce food to create other items such as oh, I don't know, salad mix or breads or, cheese. I mean, name it. Multiple things that you eat have multiple items in it, ingredients and things. So, if you have a problem with the crop, you're usually going to have a problem with the rest of the supply chain that we eat. Fun little fact, if you didn't know. So, when your fertilizer is very expensive, that raises the price on all of this other stuff. So, just because the cow is still milking does not mean always. Just because you have a cow doesn't mean it's always going to milk. I mean, you have to impregnate the cow, then you have to get. There's a whole thing with the cows. Okay? Yeah. Hi, Midwest girl. This is an idiotic statement. It's just idiotic statement. I'm sorry. Um, again, just whatever. Anyway, basically, the other side trying to say no, no, no. Yeah, no, go away. Really? See, here we go, guys. Here we go. Report and remove. Let's see. Let's see that one. Thank you. Okay. Goodbye. Goodbye. Adios. Thank you. All right. So yeah, we have all this, we have that fun stuff. So then we have the next one that's, America is facing a dramatic diesel shortage that could get even worse. So from what I've read, please don't ask me to point it out at this very moment. Um, some of the East Coast is already seeing gas stations shut down, things like that. Um, and they're running out of diesel already. So there is a lot of this already going on. How did we get here? Pandemic abruptly halted gas demand. Um, Dude, enough with the dating sites. No one wants you. I'm just gonna say that. We're gonna put you in timeout. And then we are going to goodbye report. Alright. Worst days are coming. Yes. They want us eating protein derived from crickets. I hear from my chameleon back behind me that crickets are very good. No, I kid. I kid. Um, I don't know, guys. It is insanity. It's the true. Okay, so it's a little the true definition of insanity is doing the same thing exactly the same way and expecting a different result. Yeah, we can all agree on that. Um, all right, but yeah, pandemic abruptly halted gas demand, which I don't actually believe too much. We should have still been, stockpiling it, getting it ready. I may be wrong in that, since people were forced to stay home. We still needed gas, we still needed everything else, we still needed deliveries. People actually were, ordering stuff, Uber Eats and things. So, with demand crashing, refiners stopped refining. Um, we eat them in Mexico. Hey, love it. I won't do it. I'm sorry, I can barely like touch the things, let alone eat them. But I will take your word on it. I've, because like people when you get on weird cricket things for when you have a reptile, you get in a really weird area of the web and like Cajun crickets and chocolate covered crickets and all this other stuff. I'm like, no. There's just something about the crunch and I don't know. Jorge, you're gonna have to tell me if they're actually like what they taste like, how they are. Like, are they like the large? We have these grasshopper things. They're invasive and they're like this big. Like they're huge and weird looking, and I'm pretty sure they can stare at you very easily. I don't do bugs. I just don't. I live in the wrong state. I don't do bugs. With demand crashing, refineries are stopping, but trucks continue to deliver goods around the country, so diesel demand stayed elevated. So this is what I'm saying. They shouldn't have stopped. If delivery trucks, semi trucks, postal services, FedEx, UPS, whatever, they were still going. Ships, cargo ships were still going. Military operations were still going. Planes still going. Anyway, the double whammy is that as demand has picked up in post-pandemic. So yes, insiders saying yes, we are there. Yes, this is happening. European stocks and U.S. futures rise early Tuesday. That on the docket, Airbnb, Pfizer, blah blah blah. So yeah. Anyway, it's just nuts. It's just nuts. And we are there. So and then we have diesel market is in a perfect storm as price surge, supply dwindles ahead of winter, which is wonderful. It is a completely wonderful situation to be in when we go into wintertime. The national average price for diesel today is 5.30 a gallon, and is expected to go up another 15 to 20 cents in the next few weeks. Diesel prices have increased 33% for November deliveries, so that's fun. Um, I hope everybody has Prime if you're ordering off Amazon. Just saying, so you can save money on that. Um, So yeah, here we go. East Coast refineries operating at max capacity. Diesel's inventory in the New York and New England markets are facing an acute crisis, down over 50% since last year and at the lowest since 1990, according to LiPo. Um, let's see. East Coast refineries are making as much diesel as they can and dependent on tankers and barges for supply. Any weather delay causes a terminal to run out of product. Okay, so and if anybody, for those that aren't from the States, this is bad. Okay, because we're already getting snow. We're already getting snow up in that way. Um, so when it comes to New York, New England, this is like snow mecca. Like minus like our ski resorts and things like that. There are other areas, Colorado, Montana, Wisconsin. Minus those areas. When you think of snow, at least for most of us, you think of the New England states, the northeast of the states, because we have what's called lake effect snow. Yeah. And that means when those brutal storms come through and the wind comes through and the cold comes across those Great Lakes, it will just create so much snow and drop feet of snow. And this can cause delays. This is bad. This is very, very bad. So the fact that they're even saying like, hey, by the way, if there's any craziness going on, it'll just delay it. So there is that, and we're already seeing snow. Indiana already got snow, and I think that I can only remember one time in my childhood of seeing snow in October. That's nuts. Like, that's not a thing. That is not a thing at all. Um, so yeah, they are they're working on trying to create a different situation to help it, but we still rely on way too many people for diesel, for fuel, for natural gas, anything like that. I mean, we have enough here, and we need to be able to be self-sufficient. Just like individuals need to be self-sufficient, our country needs to be self-sufficient. Um, this is going to tie into, the next thing we talk about, and our country has definitely spread itself too thin and has outsourced way too much because we don't manufacture anything here. We don't, you know, if the world does turn on the United States, which it very well could, anybody here, it's not a good situation because again, we don't manufacture anything, we don't create anything, we don't build anything here. We bring everything in house. We outsource a lot of stuff. So this is something that needs to be fixed. Like if anybody from our government ever listens to this, it needs to be fixed. Yeah. Like there were jokes the year like last year that me or Tyler needed to go for government or something in the government field. And I did ask him. I did ask him what he would do if he was president. And one of his biggest thing was bring all the manufacturing back, bring all the jobs back, literally make it here. Stop getting into wars and everything else that we don't need to be in. Like there's more stuff to it, but there's one of his biggest things is always bring it all back here, make it here, um, because we can't just rely on others. That's the main thing of it. Um, so yeah, we have, I don't know if everybody saw today, another 75 basis points increased. Again, even though they keep saying, oh, we're not going to raise the rates, we're not going to raise the rates, it's up again. 75 points. So what does this mean? I do have a fun little video for you. Um, but it's gonna hurt. They can sit here and keep saying, okay, we had all this money printed. They printed money, printed money, printed money, printed money. You can't do that without repercussions. You cannot keep printing money and giving out money without repercussions in the economy. And so they have printed so much. And what's even worse is that like only a fraction of it actually came to our economy. Like it went out everywhere else in the world for whatever reason. Um, but now the inflation's hitting, right? It's starting to hit. It's they couldn't, they dropped real estate costs, housing, insurance rates and everything. They dropped them all, and I don't know exactly what they thought would happen, but this is definitely the product of what our government likes to do. So what's going on with inflation? Inflation has been high throughout 2022, reaching a record high of 9.1% year over year in June. Sorry, there's like a bug. Um, Since then, the rate of inflation has dipped slightly overall. In September, inflation stood at 8.2% over the previous year. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, high inflation levels have stemmed primarily from an increase in gas, food, and housing prices. While gas prices declined significantly by 4.9% in September, again, things that most people aren't hearing. We had a gas holiday. There's been a fuel holiday for a lot of places, like even in our state, we had a fuel holiday, so gas prices went down because we weren't paying tax on the fuel. Marking a 3-month downward trend, prices, blah, blah, blah. During periods of high inflation, your dollar has much less purchasing power, making everything you buy more expensive, even though you're likely not getting paid more. In fact, more Americans are living paycheck to paycheck, and wages aren't keeping up with inflation rates. So yeah, there's that. Um, Keep raising rates because they don't, with inflation hitting high records. The Fed is under a great deal of pressure from policymakers and consumers to get the situation under control. Well, yes. One of the Fed's primary objectives is to promote price stability and maintain inflation at 2%. Well, they're failing at that 100%. By raising interest rates, the Fed aims to slow down the economy by making borrowing more expensive. In turn, consumers, investors, and businesses pause on making investments and purchases with credit, which leads to reduced economic demand, theoretically reeling in prices and balancing the scales of supply and demand. Anyone believe that? The Fed raised the federal fund rate by a quarter of a percent in March, followed by a half of a percent point in May. It then raised rates by 3/4 of a percent point in June, July, September, and again today. The federal fund rate, which now sits at a range of 3.75% to 4%, is the interest rate that banks charge each other for borrowing and lending. All right, so here we go. Infinite loop, yeah? Banks are just all in each other's business, and now they're borrowing from each other, and then they invest in each other. So their money is just whacked out right now. Like, they coming and going, no. So then this is where these banks get in trouble. Um, and there's a trickle down effect. When it costs banks more to borrow from one another, they offset it by raising rates on their consumer loan products. That's how the Fed effectively drives up interest rates in the U.S. economy. However, hiking interest rates can only reduce inflation pressures so much, especially when the current factors are largely on the supply side and are worldwide. A growing number of economists say that the situation is more complicated to get under control and that the Fed's monetary policy alone is not enough. So, this is just a scapegoat thing. Situation is more complicated to get under control. Okay. One, stop spending. Period. Stop sending money to random countries about God only knows what. Why we're sending billions of dollars over to Ukraine for a war we're not in, that we shouldn't be in, that we don't have any business being in right now. Okay, there's a reason. There's a big reason why the countries that border um, Russia are not supposed to be a part of NATO. Like, it's part of the whole contract. But poke the bear, you're gonna get bit. And so, with that being said, hold on. We'll go, I will put this in the little thing. This goes over interest rates and everything else like that. Just know the higher this goes, the worse it is for a lot of everybody else. Mortgages, we're going to probably hit 8% in no time, probably even 9% in no time. Um, we're at 7.2% 30-year. 30-year VA is at 6.75%. FHA is at 6.72%. Um, I mean, this is just disgusting at this point. This is just wrong on so many levels. Uh, so yeah, I honestly, I'm probably looking, after me and Tyler talked, probably next week, maybe 2 weeks. We'll could probably see that 8-9% because they're just gonna have to keep going up, right? We'll see if we're right. So yeah, we'll keep an eye on this. Mortgage rates are gonna keep climbing. Remember, but this is where we get hope, right? This is where we're hopeful. House prices come down. Yeah. Okay, now we're kind of thinking of the 80s and 90s. 80s and 90s, 70s, 80s and 90s really. Um, they had interest rates in the like teens, 20%. So, I mean, we could be seeing that cycle, right? So, house prices come way down and we now have a 20% interest rate. So, that's kind of something I'm looking at, right? So, between December and March, um, house prices just kind of really bottoming out and interest rates going way up. That's kind of where I'm at right now between December and March, at least for the U.S. market. I'm not so sure. I haven't gotten to really keep track of, Europe or Australia's. I know Australia's kind of going about the same way. Um, so we'll see. I'll definitely look into it. Canada, your bubble needs to pop. No offense, but it just needs to pop. Vancouver is just that's hurting. Um, yeah. So mortgage rates. So then we get into um, the wars. All right. So here we go. We have a lot of wars brewing, right? We know that. Russia with Ukraine and everything going on with that situation. US and Russia, US and China, US and North Korea. It's just kind of that craziness. Then we have North Korea and South Korea. We're going to go over that today. Um, and then we have our own within our country, within the states. And so, for anyone that doesn't actually know here, there is kind of an unsettled situation going on in our own country. I mean, you have Oregon, you have parts of Oregon trying to join Idaho. You have some of the southern states trying to secede just altogether. You have California, parts of California are trying to break off from the nation. I mean, it's there's a lot of nutsness going on within the United States of America. So anybody that's international, um, outside looking in, I would love to know what you guys see because inside watching it all happen, it's creating, there's this really odd divide. Um, and it's because critical thinking, self, being self sufficient, again, thinking for yourself, really researching and not just taking things at face value, actually understanding what's going on. The biggest question, okay, is, you know, what is true? What is the truth? Not what is your truth, not whatever his truth is or their truth or whatever truth. It's not that. What is the truth? And I'm so tired of people not wanting to tell the truth because we are becoming so divided. And for a nation that prides itself on the phrase, united we stand, divided we fall, guys, our country is very divided. And we are going to fall harder than hell being this way. Because, okay, so here's the hypocrisy, okay? We have total hypocrisy going on when we have, you know, again, my opinions. I'm going to get canceled. I'm well aware of this. Drew, Tyler, anybody, my team, Lord help me. Um, my body, my choice. Yep. I'm not gonna tell you my opinions, but my body, my choice. All of 2020 and 2021 and everything else. People with vaccines, people with this, my body, my choice. Whether you put the vaccine in, and YouTube, I know you're listening. Whether you get the vaccine or not, my body, my choice. That should be a my body, my choice. Now we have the Roe versus Wade overturn, and granted, yes, I want to address that real quick. It brings it to a state level. The federal government, for those that don't know, the Supreme Court and the federal government don't get to tell you what to do. It's the state level, smaller scale, smaller government. Stop wanting big government, smaller government, because then you can actually go to your elected officials. We have government races going on right now, governor races, right? You don't like your elected officials in your state? It's a lot easier to change those officials than it is the federal officials. Yeah? So it brings it to smaller government. This is what we need. We need smaller government. Let states decide. Let mayors decide. That is one thing I will praise DeSantis on when it came to COVID is he let the mayors decide for their individual areas or their town councils or whatever it was because Florida is so big. If nobody knows, Florida is like a third of the size of California. So Florida is huge. And what works in Tampa and Miami may not work up in Lake City or Stark or up in the Panhandle, right? So he let the local governments decide how to handle lockdowns or restrictions or anything like that. Like awesome job, DeSantis. I will shout you out for that. And so smaller government because only those local people know what those constituents need and what they want, right? So, but again, back to Roe v. Wade. Roe v. Wade, my body, my choice, right? Choosing what you want to do, what you can do, what a woman can do with her body, a woman can do with her body, is the same as what a person can do when it comes to vaccines, my body, my choice. But there is a divide. Here's your homework for the night, guys. Get on YouTube. There's people that go to college campuses, and they ask the question, "Are you pro?" I need to fix that setting on my headset. But they will ask. They will go to the college campus and say, "Are you pro-life or pro-choice?" Most of the time they say they're pro-life. Perfectly fine. My body, my choice. But then they ask about the vaccines and they say that they want the vaccines. They need to be a thing. But again, they're my body, my choice. And these are the conversations we need to start having because that's hypocritical. Yeah? Okay? So then we also have, the whole trust the science thing. Trust the science. We won't get into that today. But you know where I'm going with this. Trust the science, but we have this other side that's like, well, this is a thing. This is how this works. This is how this is. But that same side says trust the science when it comes to other things. Okay, it's enough being canceled for the day. Um, we just need to get these conversations going. Like, it shouldn't be a thing where I have to worry about, like, oh, I'm going to be canceled. I'm going to be called out. I'm going to have my DMs blown up because I said XYZ. Because of an opinion, of a thought, of a critical thinking skill of going, hey, wait a minute, this is not right. We need to question this, question the narrative, question what they're saying, because they're trying to dumb down the society, right? The only way to control people is if they dumb down the society and they don't talk about it. They just distract and they push things and they push things. And the fact that there is a Blue's Clues, I'm not playing it on this channel. Please, for the love, there is a Blue's Clues episode, and it's not a parody, with the Pride Parade. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think that's appropriate. I don't think that's an appropriate thing for Blue's Clues. I watched Blue's Clues as a child, and it was I won't put it on in our house. Maybe the original with Steve and the Notebook and Salt and Pepper, but it's just not a thing. Um, it's just not needed for my 3-year-old, right? And that's what Blue's Clues is geared for, is for 3-year-olds. So this is the stuff that we need to start addressing. When if we want to do it with teenagers, they hit, gosh, I can remember birds and bees, whatever, in school. That's when we start doing it. That's when we address these things. Let kids be kids. Why have we stopped letting kids be kids? I have not understood that yet. And so that is something that we need to start really addressing is the morale, the moral compass here, and what's appropriate, what's not appropriate, I'm seeing kids getting taken to drag shows. That's a whole nother topic. Again, distractions. We have a failing economy. We have, here's this, our U.S. soldiers are in Ukraine checking equipment and weapons. As a wife to a veteran. We were military. You support your spouse, you support your soldier, you support, your whatever, no matter what they're called to do. They sign their name for the up to amount of their life, and I can't for the life of me figure out why the US military is inspecting Ukraine weapons after everything that has been said, that if the US intervenes, if the US helps, if NATO helps, if the Western Hemisphere helps, it is going to be treated as an act of war. So, and guys, I don't think we've seen the full power. Like I've seen a lot of things mocking Russia. Oh, that's all they did. They're backing out of Ukraine. They didn't really get to take. I don't think we've seen the full power of Russia. Russia is huge. Russia is a powerhouse. And I don't think we've seen the full power of them. For some reason, this feels like a trap in some way, because you now have US military next to these weapon depots that they like to attack. Okay? This is not a good situation. And for whatever reason, our chain of command has put them in these spots. So, and then we have the North and South Korea. Finish up the crap show of this week so far with this. North and South Korea exchange missiles. So, long story short, North Korea fired missiles into the water. One of them went south of a designated line that they're not supposed to cross, no fire zone. And South Korea retaliated and sent off some others. All the while, in South Korea, again, our soldiers, spread as thin as they can be, are out doing training missions with South Korea. Um, there are drafts happening in multiple countries, Russia included. I was informed tonight by my stepfather that Russia is dragging people off the streets to put them in the draft. So whether or not that's true, I cannot confirm or deny because I did not look it up. I did not have time to look it up before I got on here tonight. So we'll look that up. We can all agree on that to just look it up. It's just my stepfather information from him. Um, but our soldiers are spread very thin. Our 101st is already deployed. We have a lot of uncertainty going on in the world, and this is not being talked about very much. I don't know when or if this will actually be covered more. Like, this should be front page all over the news, just everything, we're sending our soldiers literally off to war again. We just brought them back from the Middle East, and they are back over there fighting, maybe not fighting yet, but they are over there to observe. I have no idea. Um, if anybody says that World War III is not either here or knocking on the door, I'd have to say they're not paying attention. The global the global front right now is in a very interesting way. And if we know history repeats itself, we've had pandemic, we're having our financial crisis, and then we will have war. And it's all brewing, right? It is all going on. It's all a cycle. It happens. History repeats itself. There is no such thing as a coincidence. And it's all generational, right? It's a lifetime. So every lifetime, all this will always happen. So hopefully we can learn. And, I'm hoping that future generations, I'm looking at Gen X, millennials, Gen Z even, um, learn from this. I really hope they learn from this because The, we're so much more evolved than this. We really are. Human beings are more evolved than this, than corruption, screwing up stock markets. Come on, like, come on. There are a million and one things I could think to do more than just screw up a stock market. You know, tanking crypto, screwing up people's lives. Like, how we get here is a very interesting scenario, and how we get away from this is an even more interesting scenario because it will take generations to correct a lot of this. So I have hope. I have hope because, again, if we revisit the fourth turn, the millennials, Gen Y, we are the heroes in this story. We are the ones that bring awareness. We are the ones that are supposed to fix it. We are supposed to, you know, just correct all of this. And it's a lot of pressure, yeah, for a generation, but we are the ones that are really calling out and bringing awareness to it and just being wide open to what's going on and trying to educate what's going on. And as much shit as we all got, I'm speaking to my millennial peers here, as much shit as we got growing up that we were entitled and we were selfish and everything else, man, I'm calling out everyone because almost all the YouTubers I watch I think are millennials, and we're all doing the same thing, teaching how to prep, making sure that people are ready for what's happening, bringing awareness to it, calling out the crap, and just bringing some form of sanity to the world because right now it's completely insane. And all I ask for anyone that's watching, anybody that's part of our community here, is that you just stay aware, stay away from the distractions. Don't get caught up on Twitter or Facebook or whatever, arguing with some bot. I guarantee it's a bot because that's all they're there to do, is to infiltrate and cause a distraction. And it's, we're better than this. We are absolutely better than this. I'm hopeful in the fact that the end of this decade will be good. The end of the decade will be good. We'll see it through. We'll get through it. I'm gonna be here. Unless it's Halloween and I'm bum tired because I have a 3-year old. Um, you know, Friday we'll have an extra little bit added on. Maybe we'll do an extra one on the weekend, going over some more of the news since I did miss Monday. Um, but I'm so excited to get everyone on the right track. Um, Big announcements are coming. This will be merging. This will actually be the thing I'm doing with Isles will actually be a part of Bull House too. So I'm super excited about it, and I cannot wait to tell you guys more about it. Um, I've been sitting here; it just kind of runs through my head at random points tonight, so it's kind of been like a really awesome thing. Um, and I look forward to it. I look forward to seeing how we come out and what happens. Um, because okay, so the song, "Keep Your Head Up," yeah. Um, there's always rainbows after rain, and the sun always does shine again. Yeah. So it's just that phrase, those phrases. The song came on a hard day for me, and that's been kind of playing in my head for weeks now. So keep those in mind. There will always be a rainbow. The sun does come back out, and we will get through it, and we will be here. Global economy, global population. We stand together. Purple, blue, white, black, brown, whatever, wherever you're from, whatever you believe in, we got to go at this together. And I think that is literally the only way to do it. Sincerely, this is the only way. Um, because these old ways, these regimes, the corruption, the deep state, whatever you want to call it, is done. It is done. And if if it takes me figuring out a way to become one of these people, that will happen. That will 100% happen because I do not know how else to fix this. All right, break the cycles. That's what we got to do. So recap: keep an eye on diesel, keep an eye on gas. Don't buy into the BS. If they say gas is going down, figure out why. What did they do? Is it a tax holiday? Did we? I mean, honestly, oh, that was the other thing that Tyler said that he would do is that if he were president right now, he would open up all of our refineries. He would get all the pipelines going and he would flood the market to, because right now people that don't care about us are actually giving us a lot of our oil. Flood the market. If anybody's listening, government, anybody, NSA, whoever, if anybody's listening, flood the market. You want to win this. Almost every dollar is trying to be the petrodollar. Well, the only true petrodollar right now is the USD, the reserve currency of the world. Flood the market and get our people back to a normal living situation here. Cost of goods go down, inflation goes down, we become self-reliant. It's kind of a win-win-win. So, but that is what he said. That was one of the greatest things he said. Just flood the market with oil. That won't happen though. So we can only hope. Um, we can only hope, guys. All right, Friday we'll have more about the economy. Lord knows what's going on. Maybe we'll see what's going on with the wars. We've got, I don't know, the supply chain is just such a funny thing to talk about. Maybe we will. I may try to get Boss Blunts on if he's available. I don't know if Boss is watching or not, or Colt. We might have a special guest on Friday if I can get a hold of them. Um, but yeah, we all have game night. Probably Jackbox. You guys seem to like watching Jackbox. It was a funny night. Phasmophobia. Everyone kind of tuned out, which is fine. But so if you want to play Jackbox, you are more than welcome to in our Discord. Come in, hang out, have fun. Um, we might even, that's probably what we'll just play. Everyone seemed to have a fun, just laughing and everything with that. So, and then Saturday or Sunday, we will be back with regular news and then start the week all over. So, if you guys do have anything you want me to look into, please leave it in the comments so I can look into it, ask me questions. Um, Other than that, if you have anything else for me, you can either DM me on Twitter, Discord, doesn't matter. I do try. I do definitely try to get at everybody. Um, if you have nothing nice to say, you know what? Say it if it really makes you feel good. I really don't care. I've become kind of numb to it, but I love you anyway because you are a human on this world, so you do deserve the best. But it has been real. It's been fun. But I'm gonna go. I'm going to bed. So, bye guys.